Okay, so I guess the purpose of this meeting, since we've started this whole PEBT process, I've had a couple EMIS coordinators, some other folks reach out, and they wanted to know if there were a few things that we could do to kind of help make this easier for everybody as they have to sort through the student data. So I wanted to get some feedback from everybody. I wanted to talk to everybody about it because if we make changes to the files that I generate and send out to everybody, we need to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because you're going to have to delete any extra columns that I add before you submit it to ODE for your final submission. So I know we had Stephanie at Switzerland had the idea to add the student number or the state student ID to the file. And I know with larger districts, that may be a help in sorting through the students that you have. So that's something that I took the liberty of adding. And when we get to this next PEBT deadline, you're going to see the files that I send will have the student number and the state student ID as the very first two columns on the file. And I mark those in the column header with delete. So you know before you submit that file back to the state that you delete those two columns. ITCs are no longer responsible for uploading, as everybody knows. So I'm not sure if adding any extra columns will shoot an error if you were to try to upload the file without deleting those two columns. So I'm just going to assume that it will. But I guess really I wanted to get some feedback from everybody on what you guys thought, if there's anything else we can do to help make this process a little easier, a little more streamlined. You have to understand that there's not really a whole lot we can do as far as the format, because that's all passed out to us from the Department of Job and Family Services and ODE. But I wanted to get, a little bit of feedback. And, if someone is doing something in one district that's helpful to somebody else, I wanted to give you guys kind of a little forum to bring that up. So if anybody has anything they want to say, I guess you can just kind of hop on and let it out.
Hey, Ryan, this is Chris.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to know, do you possibly have an example of that new file that you could share your screen and show them?
Let me see here. It's going to have district data if we do anything. So I don't know if that's an issue to show everybody.
I mean, does it have the district name and stuff or no?
It doesn't have, well, actually, yeah, it would.
Oh.
It would have it would have the IRNs.
You can share Buckeye locals.
Okay.
I just thought that might be easier for them to see it, beforehand. And maybe that would make some people think, well, maybe if we had, a few other things that would be easier.
Right. Hold on just 1 second. Then I will share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
And do you see the one? Oh, I just want to make sure you guys are seeing the right screen. I've got multiple. You see the one that has the actual, it looks like the PEBT list that would have been sent out to all you guys.
Yes. So
Okay.
those first two columns, you've added both the student number and the SSID,
Yes.
and then you're telling them to delete those before they
Yeah,
load.
after you guys get all the data submitted, or I mean, you guys get everything filled in with the amount of days for the appropriate students, then what you would have to do is just simply delete these first two columns before you do your final save and send out. And if there's anything else that we could potentially do to help make sorting through your data easier, let me know. And I mean, this is the form to do that. We can talk about it. If it's something I can do, I have no problem doing it. I know it's a lot of work for you guys. And I want to try to help out and make it as easy as we can.
Ryan,
Yeah.
I got a quick question. I know when I look at the reset and restart information about the PEBT, and it says on here, do not count days the student was in school and offered a school meal or any weekends or school holidays or non-instructional days. Okay, since everybody's experienced all these snow days and everything, what if we were out due to weather, but we did remote? Would that qualify or not?
I would say that it would qualify because that's still an instruction day.
Right. That's what I wanted to make sure, because I was starting to look at February and we had several days where because of the weather, we just did remote days.
Right. And I'm actually going to take some notes because, what I think. I'm
probably going to have this question from more than just me, because this whole month of February has been nothing but delays and cancellations and remote days. So.
Right. And what I'm going to do is any questions you guys have that I can't give you a definite answer on, I'm going to take note of that. And I'm going to reach out to the PEBT support staff and get some clarification.
Okay.
So I'll send a follow-up email to everybody answering some of these questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So Ryan, I would say that yes, if it is a remote learning day, that it is considered a day in session because they don't make any changes to their calendars for that.
Right.
So
And
I would say, yeah, that's included.
Yeah, I would say that too, but I want to get, confirmation from them just to verify, because some things have changed. And that's part of the reason why when we did this last one, I had to generate so many files because they made a lot of changes to the program and didn't tell us. And then even after I reran those files, we were made aware of other changes, so I had to do them again. One thing I will say too that I found when I went through and added those two columns to the database script that generates your district files, I went through and I also added a district relationship of 3, because I found when working in the last one that there were some preschools that are serviced or run by the ESCs, and there's some crossover and some issues. So I figured it's probably better to be safe and include students that would have that district relationship of 3, so they're already on the list. I guess it's better to have too many than not enough, and they can. The state can weed out anybody that shouldn't be there. But I figured that a lot of the districts and ESCs, or districts that use ESCs for preschool, they're gonna have to work together to get that information, because it's my understanding that one entity would have some of the data that's needed and the other would have the rest.
Hey, Ryan, there's some stuff in chat. A few questions. Lori Potterjack is saying, doesn't it have to be 5 consecutive days out? And I believe that is correct, right?
Yes, yes. The total of 5 or more consecutive days of not only remote learning, but they're now including students that were out with COVID or at least quarantined.
Okay. Cinda is just stating that the PBET staff is good at answering questions. They get back to her. Leslie Lucas from Carrollton is asking if it would be difficult if the student grade was on the database. And Barbara Burns is agreeing with that.
The grade level. Let me check into that. I may be able to do that. I'll do a little research, but that sounds like that's something I might be able to do. If I can add it, I will, and I will confirm that in the follow-up email.
Okay, Tim Sherman is agreeing with that would be great. Denitra is saying also kids who are fully online also have to be included. We count every day that they are in attendance. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, students that are remote learning.
Yes, that's what I think Denitra's saying.
Yeah, so yeah, remote learning students are included as long as they qualify for free or reduced lunch.
Okay, okay.
I started sharing, my chat disappeared, so.
Oh, okay, that's okay. And then Jody is saying, would that have to be deleted also when we submit? I would think yes, if
yes,
he adds the grade.
Anything that I add will have to be deleted. And if I add it, I will, as I did with the student number and the state student ID, I will put a little note in that column header saying delete. Because they're very specific about their format.
Okay.
I have a question for CEP schools.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I have a question about CEP schools. Everyone in CEP districts are eligible, correct? If they meet the criteria.
Yes.
Did you say yes? Okay. And then also, if they're all eligible, then I guess our question is, why do we do the whole verification process if everyone's eligible?
Well, because you still have to meet the days.
The dates. Okay. So we don't necessarily, though the free and reduced status doesn't matter. It's just the dates and the other qualifications.
Right.
Okay.
So they have to be 5 or more consecutive days, whether that's remote learning, if they're out with COVID, or quarantine.
Okay. That helps. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tim Sherman is asking, does ODE do a further screening after we submit? If so, how do they filter our data?
I believe they do, but I think that they are primarily looking at the amount of days that districts have entered. At least that's how it was done before. The very first 2 that we did, well, I guess the first one, everybody was included back, last spring. But the one we did in September, you guys sent all of your completed data back to me, and I compiled it all to one big spreadsheet and sent that into the state. The state pretty much went through and just made sure that everybody had at least 5 days. And they made sure that there were no students that were, I guess, kind of double reported between districts. But to my knowledge, that's about it. That's really all they can do.
Okay, so Jenny Gibson is asking, we have our online OVLA students with a different status code. So they have A, N, VA, VN that need looked at. Does any other district have multiple status codes that need considered for days?
I mean, I guess that sounds like more of,
Probably for the group.
yeah.
Does anybody have any different status codes that they use? So Switzerland and Buckeye Local does. And Jenny's saying, I just know I had to have Ryan do special handling. Bel Air does, Carrollton does.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through this database script that generates it. It's large. Part of me wants to say that it doesn't look for, hold on, let me see here. Because I think when and correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, when I did it for you, I thought I had to go through, and that's where we figured out the district relationships. Maybe not.
Okay, so Denitra is saying that the status is irrelevant if the data is collected by district relationship, wouldn't it be?
Yes, and that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. I just looked through the script,
Okay.
and it's not looking for a specific status code. I mean, we have that in here, but it's commented out, so it's not looking at that. It's primarily looking at the district relationship. Also with withdrawal dates to kind of filter out kids that would have been gone outside of this current school year.
Okay, so
In current record.
okay, so Tim is saying that Newcomerstown has created more status codes because of remote learning. Jenny says it's looking at free reduced codes. Then they're asking a question. We have parents calling saying that they did not receive benefits for students that were submitted on our list. How can we verify if the students are going to receive benefits or not?
For the last question from MFSD, I'm assuming that's Marks Ferry. To verify students.
Wouldn't it be what's in the file that you send?
Right, but if the data has been completed and they're on the list that's been submitted to PEBT or ODE, and those kids still aren't getting it, then they're going to have to reach out to the Department of Job and Family Services to figure out what's going on. That, unfortunately, is outside of my control or wheelhouse. What I will do, I see there was a question from Cinda asking if there's a number that parents can call. There should be, and I believe there's also an email address. I will add that to the follow-up email I send out.
Okay. Denitra is saying they must be marked free and or reduced on the FD as well as the district relationship. And then Doris has a couple of paragraphs here. So
Let me see here.
She's talking about, I don't believe that remote learning has to be 5 consecutive days. This was in the instructions we got last round. And then she puts in there about the child does not receive free or reduced price meals at the school because the school is not providing in-person instruction, includes virtual or remote, or has been operating with reduced attendance or hours for at least 5 consecutive days. And then it gives examples. And then a school that operates at reduced hours during the day, the child comes to the school building for only 3 hours a day, and the children do not receive a free or reduced price meal while at school, is now eligible for PEBT if the school is providing meals to eat at school.
Yes.
And I think it didn't, in that one email that was sent, Ryan, that you did provide that they were supposed to, districts could send the little pamphlet out.
Yeah, I think that was an email that came from ODE. And there was a little flyer that came with that. And I believe that might have been, don't hold me to it, that might have been attached to the emails that were sent out to everybody that had that upload link.
I think it might. I think it came from Angie.
Okay.
Sorry, I was going to mention too, as far as that's concerned, I know that there was some last minute things that were sent out by Melissa with some clarification. I can go back through and look, but I think even if the school provided lunch, if they were at home, we can follow up on a lot of these questions too. We'll make sure that we find information off them. But I do want to touch back on the status codes. It looks at the master status code, not the individual ones you create. So that's why they're not in there. So the master status code is either active or inactive. And I think that's the only one it looks for.
Right, because we're looking for current records and students that are active.
And that's what Denetra's saying, that this is what makes it so difficult. You have to count remote days that they are learning and not eating, as well as students who are not attending because they are quarantined.
Right, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to see if there was anything we could do to kind of make this easier in the sorting and finding that data, because when we did this back in the spring or in the early in the fall, it was just students that were remote. So I know some districts created status codes for remote learning or online learning, and then now we're including kids that would normally be in school, but those that were out with COVID or on at least quarantined. So there's a lot more you kind of have to go through.
I think adding the grade level would really help.
Yeah. I think I can do that. I said I just have to check through, because there are a lot of database tables that are already involved in this, and it should be attached to one of these.
Leslie Lucas is asking, then that would exclude our open enrolled students. We code them as NO. In what situation are you asking that, Leslie?
Well, they should still be included, right? Because that would be like the same level of a status code is like a remote student, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, no, they should still be okay, because if those students showed up on the list that I just sent out, well, for this last one that had the February, or I guess that would have been January deadline. This most recent one that we did,
yeah.
Did those students still show up on there, Leslie? Okay. To answer Lori's question, that is, somebody asked that, and I'm going to follow up with the PEBT support just to verify. I think weather-related days should count, but I want to get clarification. And then the question above that, we provide a meal to be sent home with our students for our virtual Fridays. Should we count virtual Fridays as a day to count for PEBT?
I would say, yeah.
I would as well.
Yeah, the guidance I think says you can offer grab and go and you still can count that student for that day. Because we
Yeah.
did grab and go and we
Mhm.
took buses to the communities and they could pick it up. But according to the guidance, it said they still qualify.
That is correct.
Yeah, and Lisa's saying, oh yeah, Lisa just said that. And then open enrolled out have a district relationship of 3. Are you only pulling district relationship of 3 for preschool?
No, it doesn't actually look at the specific grade level here. When we did this last one, I think I only pulled a district relationship of 1, and then I know a couple people came back with preschools, and that's where I kind of caught on to the district relationship of 3 in regards to preschools and ESCs in districts. When I generate the files, and I'll have those files to you guys in on the Google Drives by the end of the day on Wednesday. It'll probably be earlier than that, but end of day Wednesday will be my hard deadline. I will include district relationships of 1 and 3.
Leslie is saying our district was remote last week, but it was only 4 days due to the Monday holiday. Would those days not count? I mean, technically, that would only be 4 consecutive days. It wouldn't be 5 because of the holiday.
Right.
But if you look at last week, like we went remote because of weather on the 10th, 11th. We had a no scheduled school day the 12th and no school on the 15th, but we had remote 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. So I would think all those would count.
Hey, Ange, what do you think?
Well, sorry, I was getting ready to type and put the link of information for the town hall minutes in there, but what was the question? I'm sorry.
Okay, so they're talking about 5 consecutive days, but like we were out remote on the 10th and 11th of February. We had a no school scheduled already for the 12th and the 15th, but we were remote the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th. So all that should count because they've been out since the 9th.
I believe that to be true.
Thank you.
But can verify any of the questions that are kind of open-ended. We'll make sure that we get answers to them and email out to the group.
Because I think in the new guidance, it talks about the combination of hybrid or 100% remote. Because that's basically what we've been since day one is hybrid until just here recently. And as soon as we went 100% in person, the weather came along and knocked that out. So we're trying to get there.
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple of questions on the district relationship of 3. So will all of our students who are open enrolled out, to another district show up on our list with a district relationship of 3? Jenny, I have a concern about district relationship of 3 being pulled. And Patty, I agree with the concern about district relationship of 3 being pulled. Our MIDI students are coded as 3.
Okay, so if I don't have to include the 3. The 3 is something that I put in just to make things a little easier. But if it's more of a problem, I can take that out. And the reason why I put the 3 in there was because we had more than a few districts that use ESCs for preschool. And I figured that it would be easier to have those students show up there as well for those lists. So, so the district can include all those ESC educated kids in their main list. If we don't want to do the district relationship of 3, I can take that out. That's not a huge deal.
And
I
see,
do know
Denise,
even included in 2,
What?
if a student's included in 2 different entities, when the state does their checking, they will remove one instance. So even, I'd rather have them counted twice than not counted.
Right. And I mean, my thought was, as district staff are going through and they're adding in the amount of days that qualify, if they don't have that information for that student in their records, then they could just skip over the student. That was just my thought. I see Jenny's question. I don't think I can show that because I'm going to have to look through. I might be able to. Let me make a note of that. I know we're starting to go over here, so okay, I see what you're saying here. Okay, how about we do this? The districts that want the district relationship of 3, send me an email and I will run that specifically for your district. If you don't want it, don't worry about it, don't send me anything, and we'll go from there. I'll just send you the standard of 1. Does that work for everybody? Okay. So I figured that's easier since I haven't run the data yet. I figured that's easier than, some people saying they want it, some people don't. So if you do want it, if you want the district relationship of 3 included, just send me an email, ryan.brown@OME-RESA.net, or you can respond to the communication you have from me, and I'll include the 3s.
did everybody see the link that Angie had posted for the town hall meeting? It's back in the chat.
To Chris and Ryan, if we're going to share this with the other people, just because we showed some of that, even though we have the data in there, just let me, I can blur the data out before we share this with anyone else, okay?
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. And like I said, I will send an email out to everybody with a link to this recording, and I'll get those questions answered that we had, and we'll add the contact information on, I guess, for the for the folks that need to have or need to pass that out for the parents to inquire on, why their kid didn't get a card. But as far as questions go, we need to confirm if snow days count. Oh, okay. So it looks like Doris actually has an answer for that in the chat. It says remote learning snow days count, but not the ones where no instruction occurs.
So I would say that if you changed your calendar to be a non-instruction day, then that would not count.
Mhm.
So the blizzard bag days, yes, those would count.
Yeah.
Because that's an instructional day. And then Leslie's asking to check about the 4 days. So like last week.
For a holiday.
For the holiday.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I would think that you probably should be able to count that.
I would too.
Monday was a holiday.
Right. I would too, but also I guess kind of to play devil's advocate, they may say no, it wouldn't because school wouldn't be in session anyway and they wouldn't get a lunch.
Right. Right.
So, I'll follow up with them on that. Now I'll ask that and get some clarification and follow up with everybody on that information or on that.
Chris.
But
yes.
So I just want to clarify about like our virtual Fridays. Do they count if they're just, like would 4 Fridays count for 4 days for that month or only if it's consecutive? I'm a little bit confused there.
So the rest of the week, every Friday is a virtual day?
Yeah. Now, when we were fully remote, obviously I counted those Fridays because everybody was fully remote. But once we're back, attending Monday through Thursday, I wasn't counting those Fridays, but now I'm like, should I have been?
Oh, I see. Ryan, what do you think? I would
that's
say.
I'm trying to think about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because according to some of this guidance, it said you could be hybrid, which we were. We
Right.
were hybrid every Monday.
Okay.
So that's a day that I counted.
You did count that, Lisa?
Yeah, because according to the newer guidance they sent out on that restart reset guide or whatever, it gave different options like Doris was talking about, that it could be a combination of hybrid and remote and all kinds of different things. So
Yeah, after kind of reading some of the documentation and stuff and just being in this session, I'm like, well, I think that you could count them. So could I go back and fix my file and upload it today, or should I just wait until the next one and fix it in that file?
I think today was the deadline, right? Or is that
Yeah,
tomorrow?
I just got an email today. Yeah.
I think it's today at 4.
Oh, okay.
I would say to add that for the next one.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Unless you have that data right there, because you got.
It would take me a bit, so it would be easier for me to add it to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, and Doris is saying our remote day is Monday. I believe you should count them. I counted them as well as other days. We went remote for a variety of reasons. Yeah.
So it sounds like the updated guidance is as long as there is instruction on those days, then we should be good to go to include them.
Yeah. Lori is saying tomorrow at 4 is the deadline?
It's tomorrow. I wasn't sure if it was today or tomorrow.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow too.
The 23rd? Okay. Then Whitney, if you had, maybe that would give you enough time to get that in there for this round.
Yep, I might be able to get that done then.
Okay.
So does anybody have anything else they want to bring up?
Doris just posted that this was in the Q&A from the link Angie sent. We are in session 4 days and have remote Fridays. Do we count remote Fridays? If the school has met the 5 consecutive days requirement, the school can submit for the free and reduced students for the Friday remote days. So there we go.
Okay.
But that would make me think that we couldn't, because it says if the school has met the 5 consecutive day requirement.
I think if you meet it at any point,
Okay.
because that's kind of the language, because I've read it several times and that's what I
Any
got.
point in the month?
I thought from anywhere from the beginning of the school year till now.
Oh.
That's what I hate about this. Is that they're
Yeah,
so
quite
ambiguous.
broad.
They're so ambiguous about it. And then, you know, when you make an assumption that is pretty logical, then they come back and say, well, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
Because it says in here, the school has operated on a hybrid schedule for all students for at least 5 consecutive days between August 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. So yeah, we've been on a hybrid schedule for at least 5 consecutive days at any point during that time.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I agree.
I mean, if anybody's questioning it, you can go on ODE's site and it's reset and restart, and it has the 2021 pandemic EBT question and answer guide. It's dated January 19th, and it's under number 1, what schools qualify to submit student data, and it gives you all the different options. My thought is I'd rather the kids get money for food, the ones that really need it, than not. So I guess I err on the side of, you know, that they need it. So
does this should answer the question about having the 4 days of the holiday.
Yeah, because it says consecutive. Like, and even in my case, we were out the week before, and there was, you know, so I don't know. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. That's how I interpreted it.
And I think sometimes it is the district's interpretation. And
yeah, that's what they tell us all the time.
Right. And,
so
and
that's
like
our
said,
interpretation.
Yeah. And I would err on the side of caution just to make sure that these kids do get money for food.
I mean, sometimes I feel like their interpretation is akin to herding cats. You know, they just don't really give you, clear parameters sometimes.
The best thing they could have done is just said, here's an amount for each month you can use, and that would have made it so much simpler across the board.
Yeah, the one we did back in I guess that would have been the spring. That was probably the easiest. I mean, there was a lot more work here, but it was easier because, I mean, just everybody that was free and reduced lunch got it.
Yeah, this is like you have to check so many spreadsheets in, and different people in the district are doing those. So they're all formatted different. So I can't sort them any certain which way to check the quarantine list with the 100% remote students, and then look at my calendar and look if we were hybrid or remote. Yeah. So that's, I'm sure that's the same for everyone.
Yeah. And everybody does things a little different from district to district. So there's really no good one size fits all.
And Leslie's just putting out there, so since we were remote at other times this year, we would be good with the 4 days last week. Still a little unclear. I would say yes, Leslie.
I would say yes, but I'm still going to reach out and see if I can get some clarification from them on this.
Well, thanks, Ryan, for having this little Zoom thing. It's been helpful.
I hope that it would be a little bit.
But you got more questions, so.
But I mean, we still have like 2 or 3 more of these to do after this one. So, I mean, if we can get this kind of flushed out now, and by the time we hit the next one, we're kind of on autopilot and everybody knows what's going on, then I guess that'll be worth it.
Yeah, then the one in the summer in July, no one's going to be around to help us anyway. So.
Yeah, so we have this upcoming one that's due March 11th. That'll cover January 1st through February 28th, and then any makeups. And then the next one after that will be May 13th. That'll cover March 1st through April 30th. And then the one in July will cover May through June. So just to do a quick recap, if we don't have any other questions or anything from anyone, I will follow up with ODE and try to get just a verification or clarification of the snow days, and like the 4 days with the holiday, just to make sure. I like the way you think, Denitra. I will also add the ODJFS contact information. I know there's a phone number. I thought there might have been an email in there too, but I'll add that to the follow-up email. I am going to try to add the grade level to the files that get sent to you guys. And remember, it looks like it'll be the first 3 columns. They'll have delete. So you'll have delete student number, delete SSID, and delete grade level, if I can add that one. Those are the ones you have to get rid of the entire column, the header, everything, before you submit your final file. And I've already gotten a couple emails, but those of you that want me to include the district relationship of 3 in the file I produce, send me the email. I'm going to start running these tomorrow morning. I've got to do it for everybody. So it'll take me a little while to get through them, but I will have them available for everybody by the end of the day on Wednesday. Like I said, it'll likely be before then, but that'll be my hard deadline. So if you don't get one before then, let me know, but you should be good to go. And we'll do the same as we've done before. I will send the link out to the contacts that we have, and the Google link, and you can go in and access them there.
Hey, Ryan, are you going to send this to everybody, even if they weren't on this call?
I'll send this recording.
Yeah.
I thought, well, Angie said she's going to want to edit it, so we probably won't send that out until tomorrow. Okay. But isn't it just a link?
Probably, but I was just wondering also, like, for the people, if they want you to pull the district relationship of 3, the people that aren't on this, how are they going to know?
Oh, I'll send an email out.
Okay.
I'll add that to the email.
Okay.
Just taking a couple quick notes here so I know what I need to do. And actually what I might do is I might just email, well, I guess I can send an email to everybody, but there were a few that emailed me directly saying they wouldn't be able to attend today. But I'll just I'll send that out to everybody, just saying, as a reminder to let me know. And actually what I'll probably do is I'll do that as soon as we get off the phone, and then the link to the meeting and those questions will probably come back, or the answers to those questions will probably come back to you guys tomorrow. All right, so if anybody doesn't have any other questions, comments, concerns, I would like to thank you for joining the most exclusive and least wanted party in Eastern Ohio, the PEBT party.
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks, Ryan.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.